Hello everyone. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who's taken the time to watch my short videos I recently posted. I didn't expect 100 views, let alone a couple thousand, so to see the view counts hit the thousands was really cool for me. That being said, since these shorts have had so many more views than expected, I thought I would make some more in-depth videos regarding ancient Greece and then later ancient Rome. So hope you guys enjoy and let's get going. We'll begin our discussions of ancient Greece by talking about a people who weren't actually Greek, called the Minoans. The Minoans lived on the island of Crete in the eastern Mediterranean Sea during the Bronze Age. Now, the name Minoans is not what these people called themselves, but it's actually derived from the mythical king Minos, who ruled Knossos on Crete, according to the myths of the classical Greeks. The Minoan eras are generally divided between the pre-palatial, proto-palatial, neo-palatial, and post-palatial periods. They were a great seafaring peoples for their time with advanced naval and trade capacities, and we can see according to archaeological evidence that they had a decline in power that seems to coincide with the rise of the Mycenaean Greeks, who we'll talk much more in depth about in a future video. But before we get into that, let's go all the way back to the Minoan pre-palatial period. This period is a long era that runs for a little over 1,000 years, and archaeological evidence from this era shows us that settlements were growing much larger, much faster. And on top of that, the Minoans were learning how to live in far less hospitable places around the island of Crete. We can also see during this era that their trade networks seem to have advanced noticeably, as artifacts from the Levant and Egypt make their way into Minoan Crete. And that brings us to the proto-palatial period, a period in which we can see large settlements growing even more significantly, with some beginning to construct palaces for the very first time. This is also where we see Minoans develop their earliest known writing systems, Cretan hieroglyphics and linear A. Towards the end of this period, these two new developments would heavily influence their neighbors, the Mycenaean Greeks. These advancements then take us into the Neo-Palatial period, generally considered to be a prosperous time for the Minoans, as new, larger palaces began to be constructed around the island. Even the catastrophic eruption of Mount Thera didn't seem to be able to shatter the prosperity of the Minoans. However, by the end of this period, we do see archaeological signs of widespread destruction around Crete. This destruction takes us into the post-palatial period. Early in this period, we see many more palaces being abandoned and destroyed. And while these urban centers are being destroyed, we also see small villages popping up around the island of Crete. As to who is behind the devastation and decline itself, we don't know exactly. However, we do have some theories, as this time period coincides with the rise and fall of the Mycenaeans, as well as the overall Bronze Age collapse. What was left of the Minoans at the end of the post-palatial period did not survive the wider Bronze Age collapse. The people who followed them would live in small villages on Crete and would never see the level of power that the Minoans had wielded through maritime activities and trade. But how did such a prosperous peoples decline into their eventual collapse? Did the eruption of Mount Thera hurt them more than archaeological records show? Did the Mycenaeans make frequent and costly war with them? Did these events have an insurmountable impact on their economy? Were the Sea People raids that afflicted the eastern Mediterranean the nail in the coffin for an all but collapsed society? Lacking written histories from this era, not including the undeciphered linear A script, we don't truly know the answer, but it could be that all of these things are part of the answer.